I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You will never be what I expected. Different frequencies, that's why we ain't connected. You know I will make it through, I got nothing to lose but you. It's true you're so far away, and it's true I can feel the same. It's another day, you know you want me to stay, but I go my way. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not, because I still believe. You're my gravity. You're my gravity. You're calling out my name, but the echo numbs your pain. Sorry, but more than just a shadow, I'm more than just a man. You don't care how I feel, you don't know how I feel. No, you don't know how. I wash away the sorrow till my heart can beat again. You're my gravity. No, you're my gravity. I will let you go, the only thing that I know. You were my gravity, but now I have to leave. I will let you go. Why do you feel that I want? What do you think that I want? I know how to breathe into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity, into my gravity. I know it's hard, I know it's complicated, but I promised you've been waiting here forever. I had a much to say, but you're not here with me, no. We're invincible, like fire in the snow. Trust me when I say you are my beautiful world, and I'm feeling it all, we should make an effort. It's true you're so far away, and it's true you don't feel the same. But if you take my hand, we can try and go back, starting from scratch. I won't let you go, no I can't let you go, 'cause you're my gravity, and I will never leave. I won't let you go, no baby I will not.
Warning. The Duracell Cup Series data file you have attempted to access is out of date. Uploading current file now.
It's a brand new car from stem to stern, and it's never been raced at these speeds.
The next gen car is opportunity.
Everything is different with the exception of like the seat, the steering wheel, and your helmet.
Unknown creates excitement.
Talking about my generation.
As a brand new season of the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series begins, we kick things off with the exhibition non-points race. This is the Clash at the Coliseum as the LA Coliseum makes its debut on the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series schedule. It'll be hosting this weekend the clash that may set the pace for what we can expect to see not only next week during the Daytona 500 weekend, but maybe even towards the end of the season with a championship hanging in the balance. Good evening, everybody. I'm Seth Cole, and the last couple of seasons we've been short track racing for the Clash. It's been at Bowman Gray, but we are here finally at the LA Coliseum as it will make its debut on the schedule and should be a pretty good precursor here. Give us an opportunity to be able to see a lot of the drivers that we'll see competing for the championship this season, and who knows, we may end up seeing somebody, as I said, maybe get that momentum they need, pick up a victory here this weekend. It might translate into some good mojo in the Great American Race. We've got 44 drivers that are attempting to make the Clash tomorrow evening. We will end up having heat races tomorrow in which we will end up having the top drivers in each respective heat make it into the main event. But here tonight, we've got a practice session / qualifying session. So we're going to see the 4 different groups, 11 drivers each, go out for 15 minutes here in this evening's event. And the way that they end up finishing the practice session is how they will line up for the respective heats tomorrow afternoon. We'll get an opportunity to be able to look through all of our drivers here this season, some of them part-time, taking part here tonight, majority of them full-time drivers, and looks like the first driver out on track would be one of the members of the rookie class this season. I believe we've got 5 full-time rookies that will be running for Rookie of the Year honors, and Eric Sadler is going to be one of them. Eric Sadler has run under the NNSCRA banner before, but that was all the way back during the Skittles Super Speedway series. Eric Sadler moving to Young Motorsports for his debut. Of course, this is the ride formerly driven by Destin Bolin, and Bolin has put this car in victory lane numerous times. A couple of seasons ago, he was a 3-time winner as a rookie, so we'll see how Eric Sadler is able to do in his series debut in that beautiful silver and neon pink T-Mobile Ford Mustang. Young Motorsports has done a great job in terms of bringing in young drivers and getting them their first career wins. We already talked about Destin Bolin. You think all the way back to a driver named Adam Garcia. Ended up picking up, I believe it was 2 or 3 wins in a season for his first career win, and then some in a Young Motorsports entry. A driver that has gotten his first career win, that was a couple of seasons ago when he went coast to coast at Dover. That is Quentin Moore. New sponsorship for him this season out of the Joanna Atwood Motorsports stables. He's got the Love's Travel Stops sponsorship on his Chevrolet Camaro. Now that is the only victory so far at Dover back in Season 6 that Quentin Moore has gotten. Last season, not that great for him as he ended up finishing out the year 38th in the point standings. Theoretically, that is 4th highest from dead last of the drivers that ran full-time last season. Only had 1 top 5 and 2 top 10s as well. So looking to definitely do a lot better here this season in Season 8. Some drivers making their way off of pit road. I mentioned about the fact that we've got some part-time drivers that are going to be taking part in the clash, and this is one of them, Andrew Miller, in one of the entries out of the Fortnite Squad Racing stable that has moved from Chevrolet over to the 2024 Toyota Camrys for Season 8. Andrew Miller will pilot the number 75 and the number 91 in a few races this season. A number of the races that we know he is confirmed for. I believe he's running most of, if not all of the road courses, attempting to qualify for them. Also scheduled to run at Pocono and Dover, a couple of home tracks in his hometown vicinity. Andrew Miller with the Powerade sponsorship, and Andrew Miller has never made a Duracell Cup Series points-paying start, so when we end up seeing him attempt to qualify for his first race, if he makes it, that'll be his first career Duracell Next Gen Cup Series start. Got more drivers leaving pit road here as Eric Monaco coming to pit lane, so we'll cover him in just a little bit. Carson Gum, your Season 4 Duracell Cup Series Next Gen champion. Of course, as mentioned, part of the Fortnite Squad Racing team that's moved over to the Toyota Camrys. Carson Gum, Dylan Pote, the only 2 full-time drivers for the organization here in Season 8. Carson Gum last season, 28th in overall points, 5 top 10s, but only 1 top 5. So the former champ definitely looking to bounce back here in Season 8 as things very congested right now in this group of race cars. I believe one of them is indicating he's coming to pit road, and that's Monaco. Oh, look out! They stacked up a lot, and Carson might have gotten in the back of Monaco there. Well, you want to talk about another driver that's looking for a bounce back year? That'd be Benjamin Miles, co-owner of Northeast Motorsports, back for another season with the Napa Hertz co-sponsorship on his number 25. Benjamin Miles last season, 2 top 10s, and he was one of 2 full-time drivers that did not score a single top 5 in the 36 points paying races. An average finishing position of 23rd for the entire year. Benjamin Miles definitely looking to bounce back, and a lot of his teammates had very good runs last season. Connor Breeden went to victory lane 3 times. Austin LaPlante made it into the playoffs through consistency, so we'll see if Northeast Motorsports can kind of be on the rise for the other drivers that didn't fare quite as well in Season 7. Michael Norman in the 22, the owner of Michael Norman Motorsports. 19th in the points last season, a former winner, but his win took place during the playoffs, so he wasn't able to get into the postseason. Michael's got an interesting thing coming into this season. Same for Carson Gum and a few others. Our all-time winners list is starting to have a lot of drivers up at the top of it that are probably not going to be able to defend their high elevated positions statistically. Jose Mills has the most wins in Duracell Cup Series history at 10, but he's no longer a full-time driver. Jordan Lopez, the former champion, 9 victories, no longer a full-time driver, and Ryan Butcher went into part-time after last season. He had 9 victories on the season, so the next highest driver would be Michael Norman with 8 victories. He's 2 away from tying the all-time wins list, and he's running full-time this season. Could we see him at the top of the board in all-time wins by the conclusion of Season 8? Some other drivers, though, to keep an eye on that are also running full-time this season: Carson Gum, Dylan Young, Jesse Turner, Nick Gunther. They all sit with 7 career wins. Speaking of part-time drivers, Chris Dollerton going to be racing tomorrow night, looking to at least qualify his way into the Clash, the inaugural champion of the Next Gen Cup Series. Right now, 6th on the board for the Whataburger Ford Mustang. Dollerton going to be running a handful of races this season in the 4th non-charter entry out of Blue Oval Automotive. A lot of drivers going to be taking part in that. Kind of a conglomerate of former Blue Oval Automotive drivers. Jordan Lopez, Jose Mills, Trey Wright all scheduled to be in that car as well. But Dollerton taking part in this week's Clash. Dollarton's actually also going to be running full-time in the Duracell Ultralight Series for Michael Norman Motorsports in the number 40 car. James Qualls, how about this driver? Career year for him as he found victory lane 3 times last season. Granted, though, once the playoffs began, kind of seemed to hit a bit of a cold spot. He finished 16th of the 16 playoff drivers at the conclusion of Season 7. But nonetheless, Qualls was very consistent back in Season 6. Did not garner him a playoff spot, though, since he didn't find victory lane. Then got those 3 victories last season. Keep an eye on James Qualls, because I think if he can find that consistent streak again, with the fact we've got the new formatted playoff system where top 10 in points get in regardless of if they've won or not, and then you have the 6 wildcard drivers after that, I think James Qualls could be in for another banner year. Right now, though, trying to find a little bit more speed as he is currently last on the board of the 11 drivers that have taken time. Just improved right there to a 14.111, but still sits in 11th position. Former winner of the series, Kyler Sustre, now in a full-time chartered ride for Season 8 last season. He was in a single-car entry, did find victory lane at Las Vegas very early on in his career, but that was in a non-charter capacity, missed a number of races, ended up finishing 40th in the points. I believe he missed a total of 7 races last season, but in the 29 starts that he made, not only had the victory, but 4 top 5s and 8 top 10s. Looks to build off of that now as he'll be with Haas Racing in the number 4 car in a full-time chartered capacity. Eric Monaco makes the jump up to the Next Gen Cup Series, the defending Duracell Ultra Light Series champion, as he moves into the number 45 out of Lake Effect Autosport. This was the former number 74 car out of that stable, formerly driven by Casey Hoyt. And Eric Monaco now with the renumbered machine. Monaco, one of the number of the rookie class drivers this season. And it'll be interesting to see how he does in the terms of the jump from Lights to Cup. He only had 1 victory in Lights, but had enough consistency to be able to hold off Benny Watson for the championship in the inaugural season of Lights. Only time will tell how he'll be able to do in Season 8. How about the defending champion of the series, Jessica Shelton, extending S3 Motorsports championships in the Cup Series to 3 straight seasons and getting Dodge their first ever championship in the Cup Series tenure. Shelton, 3 victories last season, 5 top 5s, 9 top 10s. Of course, one of those 3 victories took place at the season finale at Michigan to not only solidify a career year, but the championship. Jessica Shelton coming into this season with a lot of pressure to not fall into the championship sophomore slump that we've seen a lot of drivers have, not only here in the Next Gen Cup Series, but in Snickers Cup Series and Hershey's Cup Series, all those previous Cup Series that have been here on the channel. Shelton, we'll see how she's going to be able to do, but definitely some good momentum and got a fast race car here, it appears. Currently 2nd on the board in this practice session. Fastest lap so far has been turned by this driver, Benjamin Miles, at a 13.798. And I'm not certain that that's going to be beaten. I think a lot of the lap times that you currently see scrolling on the top of your screen are lap times that were set in the early going of this session. I think now a lot of these drivers are looking for long race pace in preparation for tomorrow's heat races and trying to qualify for the main event. Matter of fact, let's take a look at what's taking place around the turn here this weekend. You've got your Clash Heat races tomorrow afternoon, and then it's the Clash at the Coliseum tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we kick things off next week when we head to Daytona. You'll have on Saturday not only qualifying for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers, but then not too long after that, the Cup Series drivers as well, looking to see who will start on the pole for the Great American Race. The top 5 finishers in each one of the heats tomorrow night will advance into the main event. And as things stand right now, Benjamin Miles and Jessica Shelton would start on the front row for the first heat race based off of their current practice times. Looking in terms of the amounts of laps turned here this evening, at least in this first session, most laps have been Eric Sadler, 53 circuits out on the racetrack, and then 50 laps turned by Quentin Moore. What's kind of interesting about that is that's around what the drivers will run in each respective heat. It'll be 50-lap heat races, so both of those drivers have already run a scheduled heat race distance in this practice/qualifying session. This is only the first of 4 practice sessions here, as we'll see the other 33 drivers in the other 3 heats in just a few moments. A minute and a half left here on the clock for the Heat 1 drivers. Last time we checked in on quals, he was 11th on the board. He's since jumped up to 5th, so he's improved. There's only about less than 0.2 of a second separating 1st through 11th on the speed charts. Miles with a 7.98 and Eric Monaco with a 9.62. Track position, though, I feel is going to be very important. So you want to qualify as close up to the front as you possibly can for each one of these heat races. You don't want to be back in the eye of the storm around that 4th, 5th, 6th position, because that's where it's all going to be happening in the battles for the final transfer spots. Now, if I am not mistaken, I believe only 3 former champions are not going to be taking part in the clash. That'd be Ryan Acosta, Jordan Lopez, and Stephen Pollard III. All the other former champions, going all the way back to Dollarton from Season 1, will be taking part in attempting to qualify for the clash tomorrow evening. A lot of drivers sitting on pit road there. Looks like they may be done, as there's now 5 seconds left. Carson Gum right now 10th on the board in the Fastenal machine. We'll talk about Fortnite Squad Racing and a lot of the changes they've had to kind of undergo based off of stuff that's taken place during the off-season. Fortnite Squad Racing, formerly Pigeon Racing, formerly Backmarker Motorsports, used to be a 4-car team, and now they're down to 2 full-time drivers. The session is complete. Benjamin Miles is going to lock up the pole position for tomorrow night's first heat race, and he will have the defending champion, Jessica Shelton, alongside of him. Here's a look at the way that they finished off this qualifying session, and this is the way that your lineup will look for heat race number 1. Miles Shelton row 1, Qual Sadler row 2, Moore Sestry row 3, Dollarton Norman row 4, Andrew Miller, Carson Gum, a couple of teammates there completing the top 10, and Eric Monaco will start shotgun on the field for heat race number 1 tomorrow night. All right, let's set the starting lineups for the next races right after this commercial break. Heat race number 2 drivers getting ready to take to the racetrack in just a moment. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. 11 more drivers set to take to the racetrack here in preparation of setting the lineup for the second heat race in tomorrow night's qualifying heats for the clash at the LA Coliseum. Another 15 minutes on the board for said drivers, and we'll see who some of the first ones are going to be to try and get out there. Interesting if we kind of go back and look at what took place in the previous heat qualifying session there. A lot of the drivers that were up towards the top of the board in the early going went out early. They were some of the first ones on the racetrack, but then we ended up seeing other drivers that didn't exactly go out there in the early going, pick up their pace as the session went on. We'll see if that's going to be something that'll be a continuation of a trend here with these other qualifying sessions, as Mike Tellier, the Canadian, will head out onto the racetrack. Mike Tellier, a former Duracell Cup Series winner back in Season 5. That was at the Homestead Miami Speedway in the season finale, driving then the number 55 for Gunther Motorsports. He's going to be making a number of starts this season in a non-charter capacity, and the number 43 out of Bishop Family Racing, the Ford Performance sponsorship on his Ford Dark Horse Mustang. Mike Tellier did make a couple of starts last season in the number 17 out of Bishop Family Racing, made 3 starts, had 1 top 5, 1 top 10. An average starting position in those 3 races of 7th place, so he qualified very well, but 25th place average finishing position, so outside of the top 5 that he got, which if I remember correctly was, I want to say Mid-Ohio, but I could be wrong. The other couple of finishes, not as good. Right now, though, he is top of the board. 13.923 right now for Mike Tellier. How about Casey Hoyt? Last season, burst onto the scene as a rookie, found victory lane 3 times, was really the only driver to give Jessica Shelton a run for her money for the championship in the season finale. Came up just 11 points short, but listen to some of these statistics for a rookie driver. 3 wins, 5 top 5s, 11 top 10s, average finishing position of 16.6. That was the best average finishing position of any driver the entirety of the season. Advanced into the Final 4 in his first career year, and that was when he was driving the number 74 car for Lake Effect Autosport. He then wasn't re-signed to the team. A lot of people were wondering if it was just a one-and-done season, but then Northeast Motorsports picked him up. And keep an eye on Casey Hoyt here this season, because the 24 car has produced a lot of winners. A lot of first-time winners. Alexander Rowe got his first career win in the 24 car. Nathan Hudson did the same. And you got to go all the way back to season 1. Ryan Butcher was driving the number 24 when he got his first career win at the Pensacola Road Course. So Casey Hoyt in a very good car for a very good team that has actually struggled in the recent couple of years. Reggie Fogelman drove that car for a while. Now, that car did go to victory lane with Matthew Rodriguez last season when Rodriguez needed a ride for the playoffs and Fogelman had made the jump over to Haas Racing. But we'll see now in a full-time capacity what Casey Hoyt, last year's Rookie of the Year, will be able to do. A couple of drivers having trouble getting off pit road. Looked like those were some teammates there. We'll let them get sorted out as we jump back to, well, he's coming to pit road. We're going to jump back to the former champion, Charles Sanford, the champion from Season 6. Charles Sanford looking for a bit of a bounce-back year. Last year, we could kind of call it the championship slump, if you want to call it that. Didn't find victory lane, finished 25th in overall points, only 2 top 5s and 5 top 10s. Had 3 poles, though, so he was a very good qualifier in Season 7. But Sanford looking to bounce back here, and of course trying to extend it to 4 straight seasons where S3 Motorsports brings home the championship. Destin Bolin back with Young Motorsports. We saw the car that he formerly drove the previous 2 seasons with Eric Sadler back in the first session. He's now moved over to the 02. This is the car that Will Goss drove last season. Will went to victory lane, I believe, twice last year, if I recall correctly. Yeah, he did. Destin Bolin, though, last season did not find victory lane, but he did make the playoffs. He pointed his way in, finished 15th in overall standings. 3rd full-time season with Young Motorsports. We'll see how he's going to be able to do here. Bringing over the Kellogg sponsorship, Maxwell House as well, on the new rebranded 02. Matt Haas the owner of Haas Racing, back for yet another season, former Daytona 500 winner. Feel like we're going to be saying this a lot of a driver looking for a bounce back year. Matt Haas last season, 3 top 5s, 6 top 10s, no trips to victory lane, and 36th in overall points. Haas Racing looking like a bit of a powerhouse team this season. 3 full-time drivers. We saw Sustre earlier on in the first practice qualifying session, and we'll see Reggie Fogelman a little bit later. But Matt Haas, see how he's going to be able to do here this season. Got the M&M sponsorship on his 2024 Toyota Camry XSE here in preparation for tomorrow night's clash. Matt Haas, a 4-time Duracell Cup Series winner. Keith Batson, KB Racing Enterprises single car entry, new sponsorship for him this season. Quite a number of new sponsors coming on board his Dark Horse Mustang. Keith Batson, a 6-time Duracell Cup Series winner. And last season, Keith Batson pointed his way into the playoffs, finished 9th in the final season standings. Been a bit of a winless streak for Keith Batson. We'll see if he can find his way back to victory lane here in Season 8. Daniel Voiles in the number 26. Daniel Voiles, last season, another driver that struggled mightily. Didn't find victory lane. 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s. Did get 2 pole positions, though. If I recall correctly, and I might be wrong on this, I think he was the first repeat pole sitter of Season 8. I could be wrong on that. It might have been Charles. But I think, off the top of my head, I think it might have been Daniel Voiles. Nonetheless, though, 37th in overall points for Daniel Voiles. Voiles, multi-time former winner in the series. 2 victories total. His most recent one back in Season 6 when he went from last to first at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Daniel Bouchard, for those that tuned in to the NNSCRA special event at North Wilkesboro, would have seen Daniel Bouchard be able to hold off David Dixon to pick up the checkered flag. And what was the prize in all of that? An automatic, locked-in, guaranteed, chartered full-time ride in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. The number 33 out of Michael Norman Motorsports, now piloted by the young driver. This is not Daniel Bouchard's first time in an NNSCRA sanctioned series car in the Cup Series. If you go all the way back to the Hershey's Cup Series, Season 1, Daniel Bouchard drove the number 4 car. But it's been a long time since he's been behind the wheel of a Cup Series car, and we'll see how he does add his name to the list of drivers going for Rookie of the Year honors this season. His car formerly driven by Mitchell Collins. Collins did find victory lane last season in this machine, so we'll see what Daniel Bouchard is going to be able to do in Season 8. Right behind him, another Ford. A lot of Fords here in this second session. That's going to be Levi McIntyre, new sponsorship for him. He's going to have Nutella on his number 99 this season, as well as the featured primary sponsor this weekend here at the LA Coliseum, 7-Up Zero Sugar. Levi McIntyre, former winner from last season, multiple wins as a matter of fact. 2 trips to victory lane, the most recent one at Arizona Speedway during the playoffs. Unfortunately for Levi, though, that second win taking place during the playoffs, the first win he had, didn't have him high enough in the point standings for a wild card spot, so he finished with 2 victories but 18th in points. Second highest driver outside of the playoff grid. The 2 wins that Levi had last season, though, make him now a career 4-time winner in the Duracell Cup Series, and gotta think he's going to have some good momentum in the Shadow Cult Racing entry here entering Season 8. Couple of drivers we haven't focused on yet. Alexander Rowe makes his return to the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Last time we saw Alexander, he was a part of the number 78 team along with Ryan Butcher and Diego Yepes back in Season 5. That team would end up winning the regular season championship and be in the Final Four to compete for the championship, ultimately losing out to the 09 team out of S3 Motorsports. Alexander Rowe, a former winner in the Duracell Cup Series, all the way back to Season 4, you'd have to go, when he picked up the victory in the number 24 car at Northeast Motorsports. And if I recall correctly, I believe it was at Pikes Peak Raceway. Alexander Rowe now going to be running full-time with Lake Effect Autosport. This is the 44 car that Reese Banks drove the previous 2 seasons, now rebranded to the 46. All 3 entries have Lake Effect Autosport now, all in numerical order. The 45 of Monaco, the 46 of Rowe, and the 47 of Jesse Turner, who we'll see in just a few moments. Nathan Ormond in the number 23, back for another season with Michael Norman Motorsports. Nathan Ormond finished the next to last highest of the drivers that were full-time drivers last season. Ended up missing 2 races because he didn't qualify his way. He was so far down in the point stands at a couple of the road courses, but did have a victory. That was at Watkins Glen. So Nathan Ormond looking to build off of that here this season, as he was 41st in Season 7 standings. Looks like we've run through all the drivers here. Fastest car on the track right now was Destin Boland. He just got topped by Levi McIntyre at a 13.795. First and only driver to run in the 13.7s is Levi. Destin right now second. We have 2 Chevrolets, 1 Toyota, and then the rest of the cars in this entire group were Fords. So Fords currently hold 3 of the top 5 spots on the speed chart right now. Sanford Chevrolet in 3rd, Matt Haas's Toyota in 4th. As soon as I say that, Matt Haas just jumped up to 2nd, bettering Destin Boland by 5 1/1000ths. 2 minutes left here on the clock. Let's try and find that 8 of Matt Haas. Oh, they've just brought him down pit road for another adjustment after he turned that hot lap. Charles Sanford in the wall there. That's the slowest car on track right now. Alexander Rowe, the Dunkin' Donuts machine, 13.954. What was it that I said back in the first session? There was less than 0.2 of a second separating 1st through 11th. That's not the case here. There's a lot more disparity in terms of speed here. McIntyre with a 7.95, and Rowe with a, well, he actually just beat his own lap and moved up to 10th. So if we go to Casey Hoyt, it's a 7.95 from McIntyre to a 9.45 for Casey Hoyt. So you're looking at about a 1/10.5 right there. A little less than a minute remaining here. Levi McIntyre and Matt Haas, a couple of savvy veterans, look like they are going to share the front row for heat race number 2 tomorrow night, as we again give you a look at what's around the turn. Tomorrow night it's the heat races. Top 5 in each heat will move on to take part in the clash. Heats take place just before the 7 p.m. start time for the clash at the LA Coliseum, and then next weekend we pack it up. We go from the West Coast to the Southeast Coast, as we'll be in Daytona Beach, Florida, for Daytona 500 race weekend, kicking things off with qualifying for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers. First time we'll see them in the 2nd season of Lights competition. Zeros are on the clock. Just waiting for the time to officially wind down. Levi McIntyre fastest here in the 2nd heat qualifying session. currently on pit road, throwing in the towel if you were, sitting back on his 13.795. And Matt Haas, about 17 one-thousandths of a second off at an 8.12, is going to clock in at second place. So McIntyre and Haas will share the front row for tomorrow night's second heat race. Dustin Bolin and Charles Sanford will be in row 2. A couple of Fords in Alexander Rowe, Mike Telly will be row 3. Teammates Nathan Orman, Daniel Bouchard in row 4. Daniel Voiles, Keith Batson will be in row number 5. And Casey Hoyt, 3-time winner and defending Rookie of the Year, will start shotgun on the field in that 11-car heat session tomorrow evening. Got 2 more fields to put together as far as the starting lineup. Heat number 3 and 4. And we will have the drivers from heat number 3 heading onto the racetrack in just a moment, right after this commercial break. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Clash qualifying and practice here from the LA Coliseum on NNSCRA TV. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. Welcome back to the LA Coliseum as we continue on coverage of the practice and qualifying sessions taking place here tonight, setting the starting lineups for the respective heat races tomorrow evening here from the Clash at the Coliseum. Getting ready now for the drivers that'll take place in the 3rd heat race to head out onto the racetrack here and figure out where they will start in the lineup for tomorrow night's Clash heat race number 3. Looks like the first driver out on track is going to be the Jimmy John's Ford Mustang, and that is the Season 6 Duracell Next Gen Cup Series Rookie of the Year driver Zachary Fitzwater. Second full-time season for him under the Blue Oval Automotive stables. Last season, Zachary Fitzwater finished 24th in overall points, did pick up a victory, second of his career. And he's going to be one of 3 full-time drivers out of BOA. They also have the non-charter entry. We saw Chris Dollerton qualifying that car back in the first heat race qualifying session. Zachary Fitzwater with some different sponsorship here this season as well. We saw him in previous seasons, even back when he was running for Evans Motorsports back in his inaugural season. Had Foster's as well as Pertec. He still got those sponsors, but brings Jimmy John's on as a primary sponsor as well. Kind of fitting after the retirement of one Kevin Harvick after the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season. Jimmy John's was a longtime sponsor of Harvick, even back when he was driving for Richard Childress Racing. Anthony McCrory in the number 61 Mazda out of Garage 55. That's right. Last season, Nick Gunther and Anthony McCrory's Project Mazdas were fielded out of the Fortnite Squad Racing stables, but Nick Gunther, Anthony McCrory, and Gunther Motorsports broke off from Fortnite Squad Racing. They created their own organization, and they're going to field 2 full-time cars as well as a full-time non-charter entry, which I believe we'll see that in the upcoming 4th and final heat qualifying session. There'll be 3 full-time Mazdas running in Duracell Cup Series competition here in Season 8. Anthony McCrory, 2 top 5s, 9 top 10s last season, 32nd in points. Maybe a little bit of a get used to the Mazda moment. We'll see if now, in a second full-time season, how he's going to be able to do. It's also going to be interesting because we haven't touched on it, but you probably noticed these cars look slightly different. They've got the kind of 2007 wing that the car tomorrow used to have for added downforce. That is to allow for more drag and more ability for passing during the course of this season for the races. So you kind of consider that. It's similar to what cars would look like in road course racing. You know, you kind of think back to like the Mazda cars or touring cars or something like that. That might be something that fits into Anthony's wheelhouses. That's the kind of cars that he's used to driving on international circuits. His teammate Nick Gunther, right now 4th on the board. Of course, Nick Gunther made history back in Season 6 when he put a Mazda in victory lane for the very first time. Nick Gunther, a 7-time Duracell Cup Series winner, and last season found victory lane in the regular season finale at Auto Club Speedway. That was not enough, though, for him to be able to get into the playoffs. Gunther was a 2-time winner last season, but finished 26th in overall points. As a matter of fact, ironically enough, the 2 victories he had last season were his only 2 finishes inside of the top 5. Joshua Osborne, a former winner from last season. I believe this is his 3rd full-time season for Joanna Atwood Motorsports, as he's got new sponsorship on his Chevrolet Camaro. Joshua Osborne, as mentioned, picked up a victory last season, but finished 33rd in overall points, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Got his very first career victory, many will remember, back in Season 6. That was at Pocono. 2-time career Duracell Cup Series winner is Joshua Osborne. Now Dylan Poteet, coming off a career year, 2 victories last season, was in the Final Four to compete for the championship, but got caught up in an incident very early on in the season finale at Michigan, was never able to really throw his name into the hat for the championship. We talked about the fact with his teammate Carson Gum back in the first qualifying practice session for heat number 1, about the fact that Carson and Poteet, the only 2 full-time drivers now for Fortnite Squad Racing, and making the swap over from Chevrolet, which they have been longtime partners with, now to Toyota. Kind of bringing up the numbers of the Toyota Camrys now, along with Auto Junction Racing and Haas Racing. But we'll have to see how Poteet does in terms of adjusting to the new manufacturer. Can he keep the momentum up in Season 8 that he had back in Season 7? Dylan Poteet, with those 2 victories last season as well, ended up moving up the all-time wins list board. Dylan Poteet currently now a 6-time career Duracell Cup Series winner. Alright, well, I've said it a number of times tonight. Drivers needing comeback runs. This is the primary driver that fits that criteria. Kyle Matthews made every start last season. Had only 1 top 5, 7 top 10s, 25.78 average finishing position. He finished 42nd in the point standings. Now keep in mind, there were only 40 chartered drivers last season. Kyle finished even further down in points than non-charter drivers like Matthew Rodriguez and Kyler Sustre. The former champion, I can't even say he had a bad year. Is there something worse than bad year? But Kyle Matthews, who won the championship back in Season 5, began the streak of now 3 straight championships out of the S3 Motorsports organization, really needs a comeback year. He's got the Kings Island sponsorship back. Of course, the Beast featured on his hood. Kyle Matthews, a ride operator on the Beast at Kings Island. And we'll see if he can get back that Season 5 mojo that we saw out of him in his championship year. Jesse Turner. New entire look for the team of Lake Effect Autosports this season, adding in Eric Monaco and Alexander Rowe, replacing Reese Banks and Casey Hoyt. But Jesse Turner, the owner of the team, back once again. Going to have the Old Spice primary sponsorship on his number 47 here this weekend at the LA Coliseum. Jesse Turner, former winner from last season, tied for most top fives on the year along with Rob Evans. 10 top fives last season, 14 top tens, which I believe was also tied for most top tens with Rob Evans. Finished 5th in overall point standings as well. Jesse Turner just missed out on making it into the Final Four, but finished the highest of the drivers that were eliminated in the round of 8. So a very good year, a very consistent year, and looking to continue that here. Now, the one thing for Jesse Turner that's going to be interesting, I'm going to be talking about another driver in the fourth heat qualifying session in terms of being the elder statesman. For Turner, yes, things are going to be different as far as his teammates here, but it's not like it's going to be inexperienced teammates. Eric Monaco, obviously, running an entire full season in lights and winning the championship. Alexander Rowe, a former winner in Duracell Cup Series competition, has run numerous seasons, so there is some experience behind the two respective wheels of the other cars. So Jesse Turner, I don't think is going to have all the pressure on him to perform for the team, but there's going to be some, especially after the season that he had last year. Well, for some of the S3 Motorsports cars last year, it was good. For some of them, it was bad. Shelton won the championship, but Kyle Matthews finished dead last of the chartered full-time drivers. Cole Deaver did not have a good year either. Right now, he's second on the board, so he would sit on the front row for tomorrow night's third heat race. But he ended up not even scoring a top 5 last year. I mentioned that Benjamin Miles was one of 2 drivers in score a top 5. Deaver was the other. Only 5 finishes inside of the top 10, and he finished 39th in overall points. Did get a pole last year, but he was also one of those drivers that started every single one of the 36 points paying races. So looking for a bounce back year would be Cole Deaver. Deaver, a 2-time Duracell Cup Series winner, but it's been a long winless streak for the driver of that legendary number 3. Right now, Deaver is second on the board to this driver in P1. That's Cody Lamas. 3rd season in his single car entry out of Llama Racing. Cody Lamas has gotten better, I guess is the good news. Back in season 6 when he made his debut for Llama Racing, really struggled. Didn't finish inside the top 30 in points. Last season, though, the second half of the regular season and into the playoffs, really seemed to find some consistency. 5 top 5s, 9 top 10s, finished really well in the season finale at Michigan and was 23rd in overall points by the conclusion. So a vast improvement from season 6 to season 7. We'll see if he can improve even more now, as you got to think that they've got a pretty good notebook for the next gen car now. 2 straight seasons. We'll see what Cody Lamas is going to be able to do. Right now, though, very fast in LA Coliseum, as he is top of the board at a 13.796. I believe there is only one more driver we need to talk about, and he's sitting on pit road. That would be Reggie Fogelman. He is the 3rd and final full-time entry out of Haas Racing. We saw his 2 teammates earlier on this evening. Reggie Fogelman currently sits last on the speed charts, 11th, but Fogelman, a former winner in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. That was back in Season 5 when he drove the number 44. Trying to remember the other drivers that he was teammates with. Daniel Silla, I believe, was 1, and I can't remember off the top of my head who the other driver was. Fogelman last year, though, remember, kind of bet on himself in the closing stages of the season. He knew he was going to run full-time for Haas Racing here in Season 8. So he made the jump over to Haas Racing early, was not able to take his charter with him, put together some really good qualifying efforts, but because of the fact that he ended up making that jump over there, he did fail to qualify for one of the races. He finished out the season 30th in points, but was able to put together a little bit of an idea of what Haas Racing brings to the table. So we'll see if maybe giving up the points last season are going to help him in his full-time effort this season with the 2024 Toyota Camry. And we did have one other driver we needed to talk about. There he is, Austin LaPlante. I thought he had come back out on the racetrack, but he's still sitting on pit road here trying to get some last-minute adjustments in the final minute or so of this practice qualifying session. Austin LaPlante last season, super consistent. 7 top 5s, 13 top 10s. One of the multiple drivers that pointed their way into the playoffs. By far the best of the Northeast Motorsports drivers. We're not going to count Matthew Rodriguez because he only ran a few races for the team. But Austin LaPlante, arguably the best driver out of the organization in Season 7, and he'll look to keep that consistency up here in Season 8. Austin LaPlante, though, did not find victory lane last year. He's a 5-time career winner in Duracell Cup Series competition, so we'll see if the consistency can translate into checkered flags for LaPlante here in the 8th season. Well, nothing has changed at the top of the board. Cody Lama still the fastest at a 13.796. Deaver 5/1000ths off at an 8.01. And then Kyle Matthews and Joshua Osborne, right now your top 4, completely swept by Chevrolet bow ties. Nick Gunther, the highest Mazda, in 5th. Jesse Turner, the highest Ford, in 6th. And then Dylan Poteet, the only Toyota in this group, currently in 10th. Remember, top 5 drivers are going to transfer their way in tomorrow night in those heat races for the Clash at the Coliseum. First time ever. Previous 2 seasons, we were at Bowman Gray Stadium. LA Coliseum had not yet been released, but now that it has, it's able to play host to the exhibition race to open up the 8th season of Duracell Next Gen Cup Series competition as session is concluded, and it will be Chevrolets on row 1 and 2. Lamas and Deaver will share the front row. Matthews and Osborne in row 2. Nick Gunther, Jesse Turner, row 3. Zachary Fitzwater and Austin LaPlante in row 4. Anthony McCurry, Dylan Poteet in row 5. A couple of former teammates there from last season. And Reggie Fogelman will bring up the rear in the 11th position for tomorrow night's 3rd heat race. So we've set 3 starting lineups. We got 1 more to go. Heat number 4 driver is going to take to the track in just a few moments right after this commercial break. Don't go away. Coverage continues right here on NNSCRA TV. Thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast on NNSCRA TV. If you enjoyed your watching, it would help us out a lot if you'd hit that like button. Also, if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to become a part of the NNSCRA crew today. And if you're on your phone, be sure to click that bell to be notified whenever we have a broadcast here on NNSCRA TV. Once again, we thank you for your support, and we hope you continue to enjoy today's broadcast. 4th and final group ready to head out onto the racetrack here to determine the final starting lineup for tomorrow night's Clash heat races. 4 heats, 11 drivers in each heat. Top 5 will move on to run for the checkered flag. First one of the season here at the Clash at the Coliseum. Each heat race tomorrow night going to be 50 laps in total. The main event, 100 laps. Looks like these drivers are going to take their time. Nobody really heading onto the racetrack as of yet, so let's show you what's going to be around the turn. Actually, nope, we're going to hold off on that here as we do have a driver heading onto the racetrack right now. I believe that might be the number 38 of Benjamin Snyder making his return to the Cup Series. Benjamin Snyder, we saw him run full-time last season in Duracell Ultra Light Series, went to victory lane in that series. Now moving back up to the Cup Series in the number 38 out of Blue Oval Automotive. Snyder did make a couple of starts last year in a non-charter capacity at the road courses. Made 2 starts, had a top 5 finish in one of them. I believe that was at Mid-Ohio, if I recall correctly. Benjamin Snyder, of course, many will remember, made his series debut as a rookie back in Season 6 in the number 74 out of Lake Effect Autosport. Almost picked up his first career victory that season at Sonoma, but got hit with a restart violation late and ended up bringing it home in 5th place instead. We know the 38 car is strong. We've seen a lot of good drivers running it, most recently Jose Mills. Jordan Lopez won a championship in the 38 car back in season... was it season 3? Yeah, season 3. As behind Benjamin Snyder is Ryan Brommer. Now, I was talking about Jesse Turner earlier being the elder statesman of Lake Effect Autosport. How about Ryan Brommer? He has now become the elder statesman over at Auto Junction Racing. Ryan Butcher, now retired, no longer with the team. Ryan Brommer, the longest tenured driver on the organization now. Of course, he was one of the staples for Dodge back with Bulldog Motorsports with Zach Rogers back in the day. Came up just short of winning the championship against Ryan Acosta in Season 2. But now, Ryan Brommer, he's the veteran here on this team. He's got some young drivers. Laura Chung in her 3rd full-time season. And, of course, Summer Henson now taking over the driving duties in the 78 car. I believe all 3 of the Auto Junction Racing cars are actually in this heat, believe it or not. I don't know how that got worked out. But Ryan Brommer's got a lot of pressure on him to perform this season. Last season, we saw glimpses of consistency out of Ryan Brommer, but then he would hit cold spells as well. He had 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, finished 22nd in overall points. This needs to be a kind of make it or break it year, I think, for Ryan Brommer, because all eyes are going to be facing in his direction as to the entire organization doing well. RJ Bishop out of Young Motorsports, back in the number 98, the Dark Horse Mustang GT500. RJ Bishop, former winner last season. RJ, with that victory, is now a 3-time career Duracell Cup Series winner, but did not make it into the playoffs last season. Going to be looking for a lot more consistency this year, as he was 27th in overall points at the conclusion of last season, with the victory as well as 6 top 5s and 10 top 10s. That's a big reason why the playoff system underwent a change between Season 6 and Season 7, because a lot of drivers would find the problem that we've kind of been alluding to from where drivers finished last year's point standings, where they would get the victories but lack the consistency, or they would have the consistency but lack the victories. There is Summer Henson, another of our rookie class this season, replacing Ryan Butcher in the number 78 out of Auto Junction Racing. You know, there's a number of drivers that are running in the rookie class that we've got some prior history on. We've already mentioned about Danny Bouchard racing previously in the Hershey's Cup Series inaugural season. Eric Monaco, the defending Light Series champion. Eric Sadler, a former driver in the Skittle Super Speedway Series. Summer Henson's one of the rookies this season that we know absolutely nothing about, and sometimes those can be the most dangerous drivers. I mean, you look back at last season, Casey Hoyt, we didn't have a clue who he was or what he was going to bring to the table, and he went to victory lane 3 times, so keep an eye on this number 78 car. Now, this 78 car did go to victory lane last season as well. Ryan Butcher picked up a victory last season and finished 7th in overall point standings in the playoffs. So Summer Henson is behind the wheel of a very good car and a very good organization. If you remember back, I already alluded to the fact with Alexander Rowe, talking about him, Diego Yepes, and Ryan Butcher all driving the 78 car back in Season 5. They won the regular season championship that year. There is the third car out of Auto Junction Racing, Laura Chung. Saw her make her rookie debut back in Season 6. She's been with the team ever since then. Laura Chung last season, though, did not fare well. 31st in overall points with 3 top 5s and 7 top 10s. Only 1 career victory to her credit. That was, of course, in her rookie season at Watkins Glen. Looking to build this season, maybe have a career year. Right behind her is going to be Autumn Brooks. We saw 2 of the Mazdas back in the previous session, in the third practice session. Here is the third full-time Mazda, but in a non-charter capacity. Autumn Brooks will also be running full-time down in the Duracell Ultra Light Series. She will not be running for points in the Cup Series, but there have been rumors that Garage 55 will be looking for a third charter for Season 9, and they would like to be able to put that on the number 62, so they're going to get Autumn as much experience as possible behind the wheel of a next-gen car this season. Autumn will have to qualify her way into every single race since she is a non-charter machine, giving her as much track time as they possibly can, and she'll kick things off with trying to qualify for the Clash tomorrow evening. We saw Autumn Brooks actually make a start last season in the All-Star Open. If I recall correctly, that was in a Bishop Family Racing Ford at the time, though. Season 5 Duracell Cup Series champion Caleb Fogler in the number 28 out of Blue Oval Automotive. I believe this is his third full-time season with the team. Yes, it is. Caleb Fogler last season ended up finishing 17th in overall points, highest driver in the point standings that wasn't in the playoffs. Also picked up a victory last season. Caleb is a 2-time Cup Series winner in his career. And Blue Oval Automotive looks like it's got a pretty good lineup this season with Benjamin Miles, Benjamin Snyder, Zachary Fitzwater, and Caleb Fogler. Keep an eye on that team. And they got a lot of veteran experience on that team as well in terms of advice with former champions like Lopez and Dollarton. Most winners driver in Duracell Cup Series in Jose Mills, and former Daytona 500 winner in Trey Wright. Jack Mitchell makes his return to the Cup Series. Adrenaline Motorsports. Jack Mitchell picking up a historic victory, many will remember, back at Darlington. I believe that was back in Season 4, if I recall correctly. Now, Mitchell did make a start last year as he attempted as a non-charter driver to make a few starts during the course of the year. Ended up starting on the pole position in the race he attempted to qualify for, which, if I remember correctly, was the Coke 600 at Charlotte, and finished out that race in the 11th position. So, in his one start, looked very good, like he hadn't missed a beat. Now he's a full-time charter driver this season, and taking on the role of team owner as well in the Light Series, as Adrenaline Motorsports will have 3 full-time rides, and Jack Mitchell will be moonlighting down there for a few races as well in a part-time all-star car capacity. Matt McIntyre. If I were to have a top 5 of drivers to keep an eye on based off of what they did last season, Matt McIntyre would be in that top 5. Heck, I think he'd be in the top 3. Matt McIntyre last season looked really good near the close of the year. A couple of times, probably should have picked up a victory. He was closing on Levi McIntyre at Arizona. He was leading, dominating at Hanford before he hit the wall and had to spend a long time on pit road for damage repair. Matt McIntyre finished out 34th in the point standings last season with 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s, but there were a couple of glimmers of hope, and I think that now back in another season with the Michael Norman Motorsports organization, I think you're going to see a breakout year for Matt McIntyre. Dylan Young, owner of Young Motorsports. back in the number 2 car. Where else would he be? Dylan Young last season finished out the year 14th in the playoff standings. Picked up a victory, and we talked about the fact Dylan Young, a 7-time Duracell Cup Series winner. One of a number of drivers that could knock on the door of top of the board in most career wins by the end of Season 8. Connor Breton, career year for him. 3 trips to victory lane in his rookie season. 10th in overall points, 5 top 5, 7 top 10. Second full-time season with Northeast Motorsports. We'll see if he can build off an incredible rookie season. He spent most of that season chasing Casey Hoyt and Will Goss. It was a good battle amongst our rookie class last year, as we ended up having, I believe it was 8 victories amongst rookies last year. And Connor Breton will definitely look to build off of the triple checkered flags he was able to get back in Season 7. Right now looking for a little bit more speed here tonight, as he is 8th on the board in that 88 car, but he was... I said that LaPlante was the best car for Northeast Motorsports, which is true in terms of consistency and performance. Yes, Breton had the victories, but he didn't have the consistency. He'll obviously be looking for that consistency this season, one would have to assume, but no driver is going to turn their nose up at a checkered flag either. With 2 minutes left on the clock, how about the rookie Summer Henson? Right now the fastest here in the LA Coliseum. I believe this is the fastest lap turned all night long. Most of our drivers at the top of the board have been somewhere in the 7.9s. Summer Henson clocking in at 777s, 13.777. RJ Bishop with a 7.84, which I believe is the second fastest overall lap set here tonight. But like I said, when you have the rookies that you don't know anything about, sometimes that is a dangerous thing, because then you don't know what to expect, and Summer Henson kind of proving that right now. Also, I don't have the statistic in front of me. I will have this information tomorrow evening, but I believe Ryan Butcher was a former Clash winner in one of our Bowman Gray races, so this could very well be the setup, the chassis of the car that he went to victory lane in the Clash. I'm going to have to double check on that, but I'm pretty certain Ryan Butcher is a former Clash winner in the past 2 or 3 years. Right now, RJ Bishop would share the front row with Summer Henson. Benjamin Snyder, who was the first car out onto the racetrack here in this session, is sitting 3rd. And then Jack Mitchell's the highest Chevrolet in 4th place. Autumn Brooks Mazda in 5th. As we'll have about 20 seconds left here for drivers to try and get last-minute improvements to their qualifying positions in the starting lineup, as give you a look one last time at what's around the turn tomorrow evening. We've got the Clash Heat races. Top 5 from each heat will move on to the main event at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with the Clash at the Coliseum. And then next week, we pack things up. We head to Daytona, kick things off on Saturday with qualifying for the Duracell Ultra Light Series drivers. They will also have that same day Cup qualifying for the Daytona 500 for the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series drivers. Well, Summer Henson, strong race car, obviously very talented driver. Gonna really be looking forward to seeing what she can bring to the table here in her first full-time rookie season, as she's the fastest here in Group 4. Bringing it home with the fastest lap set tonight, a 13.777. RJ Bishop will share the front row with her tomorrow night in heat race number 4. Benjamin Snyder and Jack Mitchell will be in row 2. Autumn Brooks, Dylan Young, row 3. Matt McIntyre and Connor Breton will be in row 4. Caleb Fogler, Ryan Brommer in the top 10, with Laura Chung bringing up the rear of the field. Kind of interesting. You've got an Auto Junction Racing car fastest, and then the other 2 Auto Junction Racing cars are 10th and 11th place. So you got to think more than likely Brahmer and Chung, they'll be going over to Summer Henson, getting some advice of what to do to work their way up into at least the top 5 tomorrow night to advance into the Clash at the Coliseum. But our starting lineups are now set. All that's left to do is head to tomorrow night, get ourselves the heat races done, find out the 20 drivers that will take part in the main event to battle it out for the first checkered flag of the season, albeit a non-points checkered flag, but a checkered flag nonetheless. Cannot wait for it. Hope you guys will tune in tomorrow evening for our Clash at the Coliseum. Very first time here in the Duracell Next Gen Cup Series. Hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying practice session, an opportunity to introduce you to all the drivers that you'll be seeing during the course of this season, whether in a full-time or part-time capacity. If you guys enjoyed this session, please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become a part of the crew today, and we will see you guys tomorrow night for the Season 8 Duracell Next Gen Cup Series Clash at the Coliseum. Until then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of NNSCRA TV, offline racing at its best.
The following has been a presentation of NNSCRA TV for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions, or accounts of the game without the consent of the NNSCRA is prohibited. NNSCRA would like to thank all of our loyal fans, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.